So they won't be in here? Okay. Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the June 29th Special Committee Police and Community Meeting. That's always a tongue twister for me. I'm Councilwoman Ortiz. I'm the chair of this committee, and I'd like to have my other two colleagues introduce themselves if they will.
Councilwoman Hiller, District 1.
Mayor Mike Padilla.
Thank you. Next will be the approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Question before I second. We have in our packet a slightly amended set of minutes, so was that motion to approve them per the amended document?
Yes.
Okay, second.
And what was the amendment again?
It's under the red line.
There's a red line version. A couple of the motions were misstated. So those, Liz checked the tapes and corrected there. You can, there's a red line version, so you can simply see where.
Okay. I know this got really confusing. There was like a motion, it wasn't a second, then there was discussion, and then there was another motion. So I just wanted to say, let's try to stay on task and not keep going like that, because that is confusing. I listened to the tape, and it's very confusing when we do that. So with that, is there a second?
Yes.
All those in favor? Raise your right
Aye.
hand. 3-0. Okay. So I did send out number 8, and if you look in the version number 4 in your packet, there's a blue line. And that was in regards to the minutes that they felt that was out of that. So with that, that is what the language that I came up with. Yes.
I think you did a good job with that and would move to approve the minutes as amended.
The minutes or the document?
I'm sorry, the document, the recommendations. Sorry.
Okay, second.
You have any questions?
No.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, that's 3-0. All right. Is there, let's see, so,
Madam Chair, if I could, I don't want to interrupt, it's not on the agenda. I just want to make the committee aware that I had a previous commitment already scheduled, and I need to be out of this meeting by no later than 1:35.
okay, it's been noted. Okay. Karen, did you have something?
I did. I had two suggestions. One was that, particularly based on the emails that we invited and that we've received with questions and/or challenges about the recommendations that we have, I thought that I drafted a list that if we had an FAQ sheet to accompany the recommendations to address some of those issues, that it might be really helpful to the public as well as in transmitting these recommendations to the council. And I can read through them.
Do you have a copy for us?
I do.
Thank you.
In fact, I have, there's a copy for the chief. If people in the audience want, I think there's enough. I'll count on you, Carl. The thought was that the questions that came to us brought up the fact that perhaps we made some assumptions with some of our recommendations, and just to clarify those. Yeah. That we clarify, so these are in the form of questions. The answers need to be filled in. But to clarify what the status is of the independent police auditor right now, and what the vision is of that role going forward. In particular, that person was was reviewing and doing really good analyses of the cases that came forward with use of force, and those were made public as well. And further, the establishment of that office also had an element to have an office that was away from the LEC, that citizens could come and file a complaint with someone who was pretty knowledgeable about police procedures. And I personally am not sure where that is exactly with our IPA now living out of town and working virtually on the reports. So just to clarify where that is. The chokeholds have come up. There have been assurances all along that we have that taken care of. So just to identify where the documentation is that we have banned, in effect, banned chokeholds in Topeka. Some of the questions came in about public access. You know, would the public be able to get data, be able to see the administrative policies? Those things changed in the course of the time that this body met, in terms of the chief at the time publishing all of the administrative policies. And the IPA reports were made available, and then the data has been available for a long time. So just confirming that those policies, that there's an expectation they would remain available to the public at a kind of I called it easy anytime access. If they're posted on the website, then people can look. So just to confirm that, the issue of personnel records and whether any issues would stay on records, or if not on the personnel records here, are they available to the city? Just to confirm that, what the status is. There have been questions, as one could imagine, about the use of force incident last week. And so not to get in the way of the investigation, certainly on all the details, but to have asked the chief if, in simple terms, what happened was within the expectations of current policy and training, or yes or no, and then depending on what the specifics were, what the department's planning to do in the wake of that incident. Then there were questions we supported, basically going into the expansion of the Civil Service Board to handle the citizen review process, but perhaps an explanation as to why we chose that route over the other alternatives that were discussed, I thought might be helpful. So that's what this sheet has.
We can, what I can, oh, that's not anything, okay. All of this has been covered, and what I can do is ask Captain Holcomb what meeting that has been covered in, that most of these have been covered in. I'm not going to interfere with the investigation that just
Absolutely
occurred.
not.
It's a tragedy, and it's sickening.
Right.
I mean, it's terrible. It's just a tragedy, you know. I think we've all been bothered by it. And I think with the Civil Service Board, I think that, again, I think that we felt like when they came and they said that there wasn't enough work for them to do, that this would be a great board for them, you know? So what I can do is put something together. I don't have a problem putting this, not attached to the recommendation, but putting these questions with it.
Okay.
That's me. This is the work we've done. These are the questions that people have. We're always gonna have questions. It's never gonna stop. It's not even gonna stop after we make the recommendations. It's just gonna be ongoing, unfortunately.
Agreed, but I also don't want to, in effect, sandbag the council if we know those questions are out there, just to kind of help them out with where we were coming from and/or departmental answers, so we are all singing off the same sheet of music, as they say, at least of the facts and where we are, and what the department has planned, I thought might be helpful.
And I think that that's just me talking, and I think that we're gonna continue to get emails, and we're gonna continue to get people that are against it and for it, and unfortunately, but we've done our due diligence. We've dug in deep. There's videotapes, there's minutes, there's any questions that you have, you can come, sit down with any of the committee members or sit down with your council members, but at some point, we've got to bring this to a close.
And I would point out to those who are here, all of whom have communicated one way or another, that when you read the recommendation list, there are, I counted at least 3 places where the recommendations specify that citizen input would be invited. For instance, in the details of the expansion of the Civil Service Board. And so they were in there, but I knew what the questions were, and I just wanted to make sure we honored them as well as did our best to answer them at this level so that the council would.
I think this council has been very careful on trying to meet every concern, no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter who the person was or who the person wasn't. What I will do is have legal look this over one final time to make sure that there's nothing else that, one word can change everything, and I want to make sure that that doesn't happen in this document. So I will have them look that over final before we forward it out. And the only other thing that I can see is I will amend, and that's why I did attach to this all of our meetings and what we discussed. And I will, it's not final list, so this is June the 17th was the last time that it was done, and I will put it till today. So we'll make sure that gets updated as well before it moves on.
And I had one other suggestion. Looking at this sort of settling down, I wondered if part of our final recommendation should be that once the recommendations are approved by the council, that this committee, this special committee be reconvened 2 times, 6 months from that date and 1 year from that date, to look back at those recommendations and look and see what actually happened.
I don't know, but I'd have to think about that, because I think our recommendations are recommendations. I don't want to put a time limit on it, but I wanted to make sure that.
And we didn't.
And I think that we trust in the chief. I think we have a very good chief. I think that's one that he has listened to the public. He is out of open door policy. It doesn't, you can go in and talk to him. I was asking him about policy changes, and he said anybody can come in, anybody can sit down. They do it, he does it all the time via email or whatever. Listens to people and sees if that policy needs to be changed. So I don't think it's something that we need to continue to check on. I think that our work is done. I don't know, Mike, if you feel the same way, or, I've had to answer to people on why the mayor's on this committee, because he wasn't mayor when he started.
Right.
So I think we've done great work here. That's my opinion. I'm happy with these recommendations, and I think we've dug in deeper than even what we probably were expected to, but that was because this committee wanted us to do that, and we wanted to make sure that we had that feeling.
And if I can explain, for instance, particularly like the expansion of the Civil Service Board, this committee was the deepest inside all those conversations and so on, and just to make sure that happens smoothly, or if it turns out there's an alternate that gets selected within 6 months. There aren't timeframes on any of these things, but within 6 months, that should happen if we're serious about it, about creating something that is a citizen board. And so it would be just to kind of look at whenever it got passed, hopefully in a couple of weeks, and then just see how we did and what the status was of anything that hadn't advanced or been done.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you. First off, where does this get placed in our recommendations? Is this as an addendum, or this just goes to the governing body?
It will just be presented to the governing body,
Okay.
but it's not an attachment.
As a help sheet? Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that what you're implying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I don't think that, I guess it would hurt, but I agree with the chair. I think the questions could probably all be answered in here because we addressed them either in the session or in the document itself. So I can see what you're asking. I don't know that the governing body will have a hard time understanding without being given this sheet, but it doesn't hurt.
Well, my collection of paperwork at home is this tall.
Not surprising.
And even with the reference sheet that our chair has put together, that's a lot of work to go diving for the answers to questions that are still coming forward from advocates. And I just felt like it would help the public as well as the governing body to go ahead and acknowledge those things that are still coming forward and just flat answer them, or if the case is to send them to the right place. It shouldn't be hard. I think we could make it easy. It makes things go more smoothly, in my experience, if it's easy for people to see. So,
Well, it'd be helpful and informative for the public.
yeah.
The governing body is capable of finding these answers, and so is the city manager. Please, give me a minute. I know that you really want to continue this, and I think we're at a point now that we need to give the people our recommendations so that it goes to the governing body so that they can ask their questions and act on our recommendations.
I'm not wanting to delay getting it to the
Okay.
council. I just think that rather than having, let's see, we're 3 of 10, rather than having the other 7 people call council assistant one at a time, or the chief, or whoever, to find the answers to those questions themselves or on behalf of somebody who called them.
If I'm not
It's
mistaken,
just
it's
easier.
online, is that correct? Yeah, Liz has it, it's all online, every meeting,
I know, but that's a lot of research.
but that's why I wrote out what we did in our meetings. When we talked about it, and if it's something, we'll find it. We'll find it.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've got council members that know this is coming down the pipe, and my stack might be even bigger than
I'm
yours.
sure it is.
I don't know. It's up there on my desk, and I told them that they're welcome to grab any of my notes, because I've been through it. I've spent over 2 weeks going back through all of my notes in 2 years. I've went back and asked questions. The chief has been good about having the deputy chief available to me anytime I had questions, because if you start studying it and you think you got something in your mind, then something else comes up. And, he's been good about that, but we can find them the answers that they're looking for. It might not be the answers they want, but we can find them the answers that they're looking for.
Well, I guess it's for me personally as well. I don't want to have to go research all that stuff and go find it. And then things like what the status is of the IPA, honestly, we didn't talk about it, and I don't know where exactly it is. I don't know whether that person's part-time or full-time. I don't know where
that's-
citizens get to go. I assume there's something in place, but I honestly don't know. And it won't be in any of those 12 inches, I don't think.
Well, he still has contact information.
I'm just saying, I didn't know.
All right. Well, that's all available.
Yeah, well, I don't think that it's ever been stated that the IPA is not still available in whatever form he's being retained, part-time or full-time, that he's not available to take citizen complaints.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask, and so we all knew, so we all had the same information, and so we knew, he's not here in City Hall
No.
because he's not here. And so when it was set up to be a walk-in situation that was outside the LEC, where are we? That's all.
Okay.
All right. Good work.
And if I may ask,
Yes.
failing being able to talk to the IPA, Chief, you still have the availability of your office to receive direct complaints from the community, don't you?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. The same way we've always had online, by phone, in person, the the 6 or 7 options that are available that are on the city's website, have been for a long period of time.
It wouldn't be your practice to say, that's something the IPA needs to talk to you about, but you would listen to what their complaint was?
Certainly, there's some people that are more comfortable, which is the whole reason for the IPA.
I understand that.
But, no, I mean, they would still be able to file a complaint with us through any of those mechanisms that have been available for a while. My understanding was and it's not my area of expertise because it's the IPA, the Independent Police Auditor, but it was supposed to be an augmentation, an additional resource.
Understood.
Right,
So,
that's what,
Understood.
but no, it hasn't changed how the myriad of ways you can file a complaint with the police department if you chose to.
Okay.
Good.
Well, I will say that he's still doing good work because I just got a report from a citizen that felt comfortable with going to him rather than the police chief.
good. I mean, that was,
Thorough, very thorough. And how do I know it was thorough? Because it happened to me, somebody in my family. And there was things in that report that nobody knew but the family. So I know. I'm the chair of this, so I'm going to say that. But it's the truth. I'm going to say what God loves to hear, and that's the truth. Okay, if there's nothing else, there will be public input when it goes before the council. And that's slated, I believe, on July 5th, and then the following Tuesday after that. So make sure that you sign up. If you want to Zoom in, Sister Lassiter, we'll take all Zoomers. Okay? With nothing else before the council, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
So I didn't know if you were going to vote on this.